Hey, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in terms of your clock. But good evening from Ireland and Britain, and welcome to the second of the Jailhouse Vegans thing. And so it's a comedy special in aid of a sanctuary. So the person who's going to keep you amused and all that is this guy here. So, Ronnie, you're charged with being a legend of the movement. So, how do you plead, lad?
I don't really know. Louise, my wife, she calls me something with end on the end, but it doesn't start with leg.
Oh, okay, yeah. Something to do with a bell.
Something you ring, yeah. It's quite painful. That is quite painful.
And so the sanctuary that we're fundraising for today is Back into Daylight, which is in Ireland. It's in a place called County Meath, and the person who runs it with his partner is Declan. So hello, Declan. You're gonna be with us for the duration, and we've got a special presentation from you about halfway through. Now, just before we get funny, if we ever do, that is.
You've been funny all the time, Roger.
Just before we get funny, I want to say that we're dedicating this show to our good friend Bernie Wright. She's a long-term vegan from Dublin, and she's not too well at the moment. So if you're managed to tune in, Bernie, we're thinking about you, and get well soon and all that. So
that's right. I'm just saying, let's hope that Bernie's able to watch this. Of course, she'll be watching from a hospital bed, which is kind of quite convenient, really, to be watching this from a hospital bed, because it kind of saves you having to be taken to hospital afterwards, I suppose.
Yeah, so that means everybody else beware, I suppose. Right. Okay, so okay, people, that's the standard of the comedy. So
so leave now before it's too late.
Yeah, get out when you can, folks.
Get out.
So Ronnie, what's your first hilarious story?
Well, we're talking. It's all based on my illustrious prison career, really. This and the surrounding amusing incidents. Basically, because this is the second of the series of Jailhouse Vegans. The first one, a few weeks ago, we did for a sanctuary called Barland, which probably guessed from the name is a sheep sanctuary, mainly a sheep sanctuary in North Worcestershire. We managed to raise about £1,000 for them last time. So let's hope we can, everyone kind of get donating.
We can do better than that.
We can do better than that.
This is like a telethon. Yeah, we can do better. Let's beat the record, folks.
Let's get more than $1,000. It's euros. It's going to be euros, isn't it? In the end, because this is in Ireland, this sanctuary. So let's say 1,500 euros would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we've got proper money over here, haven't we, Declan?
Yeah, we sure have.
We've got the real money. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, this is. So we've already had my first prison sentence, which was I served 12 months in prison between 1975 and 76. Came out of prison in 76 from that sentence, and I went to live for a while with my parents. My parents lived in a village in Bedfordshire, and I had to go and live with them for a little while. But then I moved out of there, and I went to live in London. I had some friends where I'd been living previously before I got sent to jail for the first time. I'd been living in Luton, and I had some friends in Luton who ran a left-wing bookshop there, and I was very friendly with them. And they by now moved to London, and there's a big squatting scene in London, and they'd reopened the bookshop in London, and their bookshop in London was actually a squat. It was a squat on the Archway Road, and they were living in a squat, and they invited me to go and live with them in this squat in North London. So I went along there, and it was a three-story building. I had a room on the top floor, and there was a few of us living there. And a guy came to live there, and he was a little bit out of place because like we were all really quite scruffy, and he was dressed really smart, and he'd go out. Most of us, were out of work, and we did a lot of community work. We kind of help homeless people. We opened up squats for homeless people and that. But he used to go out off to work every morning, all dressed smart. And so we kind of asked him, what work you do? You're not kind of, seems a bit strange. You don't seem the sort of person to live in a squat. And he said, I work at a laboratory. And immediately I became suspicious. And I said, well, first of all, I said, well, why have you come and live in a squat? He says, it's a way of saving money. It's cheaper, So he obviously had the money to live somewhere else, but he wanted to save it. And anyway, I started questioning him, in a kind of very subtle way. It turned out it's a vivisector. He started talking about how they had animals there and all that. And of course, my immediate reaction was like to kind of grab something and hit him over the head. But I thought, no, hang on a minute. If I can, won't reveal who I am or really what my views are. And I'll get information out of him so that maybe we can organise a raid on the place. So I suddenly started questioning, I suppose there's quite a lot of security on a place like that. And, where do you keep...
Hang on, Ronnie. You said subtly twice now. I want to do a poll with the people in the chat. Does anybody think that Ronnie could do anything subtly? Just put yes or no in the chat.
Well, it was subtle for me. It was subtle for me, according to my standards. And anyway, so I thought I'll get information out of him, and we can organise a raid on this place. So anyway, I had a friend. He sadly passed away a long time ago. A chap called Mick. Mick was a vegan. He became vegan even before I did. And Mick, he was a doctor of engineering. He was brilliant at any mechanical stuff and all that. Mick, and I told him, I'd said, "Oh bloody hell, there's a vivisector. At the squat where I live, there's a vivisector. His name was Dave. Between ourselves, we called him Dave the Vivisector, which is like really very imaginative name for him, like." And anyway, one day Mick came round, and we were all sat round chatting. And I said to Mick, "Look, don't, I'm getting information about this guy. Don't let on, about me. Don't let anything slip that we're against vivisection, because I want to get information out of him." And so we didn't. So we're chatting away. And this day he mentioned he was going on a camping holiday. He had a camper van. He said, I'm going off in my camper van. I'm going to go to some really remote places. So he said, I've got to get this van serviced. I've got to make sure it's running okay. I'm going to put it into a garage. And Mick said to him, don't worry about that. He says, I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you for nothing. I'm quite happy to service your van. And I looked at Mick and I thought, are you mad? You're offering to service a vivisector's van, camper van for nothing, you see. So afterwards I said to Mick, what's that all about? It's a vivisector. And Mick said, don't worry. He said, I've got a cunning plan. And what happened was, he got the vivisector's van, he serviced it. What he did, he put grinding paste in the engine of this vivisector's camper van. And he ended up breaking down in the middle of nowhere in this camper van. I don't really know. I don't know whether we ever saw him again after that. So I don't know what happened to him.
At least there's one person that always finds your stories funny, Ronnie, and that's you, right? So.
Oh yeah. Well, someone's got to laugh, so I do it myself. There's no audience. I'm my own audience. But it's funny. Another funny thing about Mick, because Mick was involved in sort of ALF stuff as well, and I got contacted by an Australian journalist. He was from a big Australian, one of the big Australian newspapers. He's, because obviously I'd been in prison and I was kind of known, and he said to me, "I want to do an interview with some ALF activists," you see, and so. And he asked me if I could get a few people together. So I said, all right, I'll get a few people together. So I got four of us together. There was myself and Mick, and there was two women. and we kind of met at this sympathiser's house, and this journalist came to the house, and obviously that kind of I was known, but the others didn't want their identities revealed, so we wore stocking masks, and we wore superhero masks over the top of stocking masks. So someone was Batman, someone was Spider-Man, someone was Superman, and someone was someone else, one of the other ones. They all sat around the table talking to this journalist. And the woman whose house it was, she brought 5 cups of tea in, you see. And we all looked at each other. And we ended up saying to the journalist, would you like 5 cups of tea? Because none of us could drink our tea because we all had stocking masks on. So this journalist ended up having to drink 5 cups of tea. And in his article, he was referring to us all as the superhero. Spider-Man said this, and then Superman said this, Batman said that. So basically that was, that it was a good bit of publicity that we got early on there. But I was kind of, at that time, I hadn't quite got back into, doing ALF stuff again. It didn't take me long before I did. But I was still involved in the hunt saboteurs. And I was involved in a group in North London, and we were a little bit ostracised by the other hunt sabs, because there's this policy in the hunt saboteurs of sort of non-violence. There was at the time. In other words, if the hunt attack you, you don't retaliate, and you just curl up in a ball and all that kind of thing. But we didn't agree with that. We thought, we're not going to have that. If they attack us, we're going to fight back, you see. So that's what we did. And so when there was a giant hit, a giant hit, I suppose sometimes there were giant hits, but a joint hit of all different SAG groups, we never got invited, because don't invite those North London people because they're violent. In other words, don't invite them because they actually defend themselves if attacked. And I remember once we went on this beagle hunt, where we're obviously, probably most people know what that is. It's chasing after hares with beagles, and they're not on horses, they run in the fields, and you have to be super fit to keep up. And of course you're very close up to them, and this hunt ended, there was an altercation, and the hunt ended we had a fight with these beagle hunters, and it ended up as we were driving away from the place, there was a ditch at the side of the road, and every few yards there was one of these beagle hunters in the ditch, where we'd proved to be a bit too much of a match for them. But another thing that happened with the hunt sabs, there was a guy down in Wiltshire. It was in the paper. There was a vicar in Wiltshire, and he went hunting. He was a member of the local hunt, and he'd go hunting Saturday, then Sunday he'd do the church service. So a load of us went down to his service. We went down to the church service, went in the church. He must have thought, oh, it's good today. I've got a really good congregation. He wasn't happy for very long, because when they started singing the hymns, we'd wrote our own hymns. We'd got the words of ordinary hymns and changed the words. It's all things bright and beautiful. The vicar kills them all. That was one. I vow to free my country from vicars like this. Goes out of the church, he's surely taking the piss. I think that was that was a couple of lines. And then when the collection plate came round, we took money out of it. So anyway, and at the end, when we came out of the church, because the police came and all sorts, we occupied. He had a pickup truck, and we occupied his. He wanted to drive home in this pickup truck. It's a very strange way of a pickup truck. I don't know why a vicar would have that, but. Put coffins in or something. Anyway, we occupied his pickup truck. We sprayed slogans all over it, and we occupied it in the back of it. And in the end, the police had to get us out of this pickup. It took ages. And there was a guy dressed as St. Francis, one of it, and he accosted the vicar and said, "Vicar, I believe you've got some sins to confess of killing animals and all that." And yeah, it was great. I think we got the local paper there. It was all in the local paper. But another thing I was involved in at the time, there was a group called Animal Activists who mainly operated in the London area, and and it was mainly against the fur trade, because the fur trade was really was big at the time. It's like,
so Ronnie, before you move on to the fur trade, let's stick with hunting for a second, because
yeah,
do you remember that song that the Sabs used to sing against the hunters? You know, the kind of the hunter's coat is shocking pink. It's not as red as people think. And,
oh yes,
so then
one fine day
the rest of it was one fine day will come to pass. We'll stick their red coat up their arse, right? And
yeah,
so
that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so we were doing like a demo outside this kind of hunters thing somewhere in Essex, and the police said, if you sing that again, you're going to be arrested. And so we went. The hunter's coat is shocking pink. It's not as red as people think. One fine day will come to pass. We'll stick their red coat up their jumper. And they were just about to jump on us, and we said up their jumpers, up their arse. Looks like Declan's.
He's had enough. He's had enough of the crude.
He's had enough already. Yeah, he's gone already.
You could say one fine day will.
Trade, Ronnie. You're talking about
the fur trade. Yeah. I was going to say, you could say one fine day will surely come. We'll shove the red coat up their bum, but the police probably object to that as well, I would imagine.
They probably will.
Yeah, the fur trade. Yeah, animal activists. And the main thing we used to do was because it was fur trade was much bigger now. I mean, you do get some fur, like people protest against flannels and Canada goose and that. They've got fur in some of their garments, but it's nothing today like it used to be. The fur trade used to be huge. Every town had a fur shop. There were several in cities and in the suburbs of cities, everything. There's loads of it, and nearly loads of department stores had fur departments. And the only one department store now in England that's got a fur department is Harrods. And they had the fur department way back then, way back in the 70s. And every so often we used to occupy it. A load of us used to charge in there, occupy the fur department. We had all banners and everything. They had to close the whole floor down that the fur department was on. Security guards came. There was all scuffling, and we all had to be carried out. The police came, and it caused total disruption to the store, which was obviously the idea of doing it. But across the road from Harrods, there was a fur shop. There were quite a few fur shops around there, as well as the Harrods having the fur department. And I think these fur shops, what they did was, because there was so much action taken against them by like animal liberation campaigners, that you couldn't just walk in the fur shop. You had to ring the bell, and then they'd have a look at you. You see. So what we did, we got a couple of people to dress really smartly, a man and woman dressed really smartly, and they rang the bell of this fur shop. We all hid round the corner, you see, and then the bloke opened the door. As soon as he opened the door, we all went charging in, right? And we had flower bombs. And this guy, this fur shop owner, he fell to his knees and he was saying, "Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me." So I said to him, "Well, you deserve to be killed. You deserve to be killed for what you do to the animals. But we're not going to kill you. We're just going to wreck your shop." You see, so we just wrecked the shop, flower bombs, everything all over the shop, wrecked the shop. And then we ran and we went down the underground, because that's, it's good in London because you can escape down the underground. That's what we did. Eventually I got back into. I did get back into action. It was kind of too tempting not to be active again. So I got back involved in ALF stuff, and I lived in North London at the time, and I went with a few other people. We went to a place in Cambridgeshire, and it was this guy. He bred sheep and pigs and sheep for vivisection, and he had this office that was quite a remote office. And we broke in his office and wrecked a load of stuff. And then, we were highly elated. We'd caused loads of damage in there. And coming home in the car, we were talking about what we did. And one bloke said, "Oh, I smashed his typewriter." And then this woman said, "Oh, I wrecked his photocopier." And another person said, "Oh, I smashed his phone." I said, "Oh, I jumped on his glasses. And it all went quiet. And then they said, "You what? You did what?" I said, "Well, I jumped on his glasses." And and they all said, "Oh no, that's not acceptable. It's not. You've gone, you've like beyond beyond what you're supposed to do. Jumping
It's a glass too far.
It was too personal, you see." And I said, "No, I said the only thing I regret is he wasn't wearing them at the time." But they said, "We're not doing anything with you anymore. You've gone beyond the boundaries of like." Because it was like really strange in that there was this kind of strange sort of in the more early days of the LF that there was this kind of strange rules that people had. Like if you found money, some people found £100 in the vivisector's office and they tore it in half and left it on the table. And I said, "Why you do that? You could have taken that. You could have used that to finance further activities and that." And they said to me, "Oh, we didn't want to be considered like this common." I froze then. Don't want to be considered as common criminals. It's like, oh, we've broken in a place, we smashed a load of stuff, but like we don't want to be considered as common criminals for taking £100. So that's what some people used to do like that. And so I wasn't allowed to do anything with these people anymore because I jumped on his glasses. But we had. I moved into out to West London. I was living in Hounslow, and the woman I was living with was. I wouldn't. I was living with her. I rented the upstairs of her house. This couple, and she was I think the woman was a vegan and. The chap, her partner, was a vegetarian, and she used to have these. She ran a local vegetarian society, and she had these meetings of these local vegetarians, and they'd be all sat round in a circle, and talking, drinking tea, and like talking about all the different products you could get. See, and I remember coming home from Sabbing one day, and I'd always come in like through the French window. Well, not like smashed through the window, but like opened the French window. It wasn't quite that like it wasn't that sort of superhero as much. And they were all sat round, all these people, like, and I said, "Oh, Angie," her name. I said, "Oh, hello, Angie. You're doing all right?" I said, "These are the vegetarian people, are they?" I said, "Have you spoken yet about bombing the butchers? Have you had that conversation?" All their teacups started rattling. You told me off. I said, "Why'd you say that?" You said, so those people may never come again. Now you said that. And
you're just a troublemaker, Ronnie. That's all you are.
That's terrible. Yeah, I destroyed a little vegetarian group with little people sat round. But we did all sorts. There was one of my friends in London. She lived in a house where there was a number of flats. She lived in a flat, and it was one of these where all the posts got left on the table downstairs, and you had to pick up your own post. And she noticed this letter on the table, and it had like Bullfighters Supporters Association on it. That's where it had come from. And she thought, oh wow, that looks suspicious. And it was obviously to one of the other residents, this bloke that lived in one of the other flats. So she got this letter and she steamed it open, and it was said that there's this meeting and a film show of the Bullfighters fan club or whatever it was called. Someone's laughing at my laughing. I don't have to tell jokes, do I?
Yeah.
I just laugh all the way through. And the laughter has been stitches, yeah. as long as Bernie won't need stitches as well afterwards. Yeah, where am I? Oh yeah, and it said, "Oh, we're having a film show for the bullfighting fan club at this pub in Holborn, you see, on a certain day." So we thought, right, we all went there. We all went to the pub, and we had a load of flower bombs. We went and sat in the pub, and we thought, well, where's it going to take place? Where's this event going to take place? Because it was a private event. So I went to the bar and I said, "Listen, have you got a room? I'm thinking of hiring a room for a function. Have you got a function room?" And they said, "Oh yeah, it's upstairs." I said, oh, right, yeah, okay. So we found out, we sort of found out where it was. I kind of sussed out where it was. And then we thought...
That's pretty subtle, that is, Ronnie.
That is subtle, yeah, sussing out something, yeah. And then they turned up. Well, my friend who steamed out the letter, she recognised the bloke. She said, "Oh, I've got to hide because he'll recognise me. He's just come in the pub." So we thought, right, we're on. They're going to go. So we watched them all. They were all dressed really smart. Blokes had suits. The women all had like fancy, clothes on and that. And they all went upstairs. I thought, all right, okay, we'll give them a few minutes. So we waited a few minutes. So we all went charged upstairs, bursting. They were showing a film about bullfighting, and we just flower bombed a lot of them. We just completely covered them. They were all shouting and screaming at you bastards, like we threw, covered them. They were just completely wrecked their film show. And then we did the usual thing, down the stairs and across the road, down the underground, and we got away. Yeah, there was what we used to do. Like I was saying about this thing where people had this idea, oh, we won't take the money. But our group, we were exactly the opposite. We thought, well, if we find anything, like listening to John Peel. What do you mean John Peel now? Because he's been dead for quite a while, hasn't he, John Peel? I used to listen.
Which one are you talking about? The hunter?
Well, both are. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, the other one, people tried to dig him up, didn't they? The hunter, John Peel.
They did.
They did indeed. Yeah. So yeah, John Peel, the radio. I used to listen to John Peel on the radio. Yeah, in my young day. Yeah, well, we had the opposite idea. We thought, right, if we find any money or anything, we're going to take it, because, like, in our little group, I think there was only one of us was working, you see, and the rest of us were like on the dole out. We didn't have a lot of money. We had this old car between us, so we take money. And there was this place. It was in the London area, and they made traps, for obviously, made animal traps. So we did a raid on this place, and we found what we did was we found a load of money. We took the money. It was quite a lot of foreign money, so I went to go down to the bank the next day and change it all. Luckily, it wasn't marked or anything. We took loads of their office equipment. And we found a load of booze. We found a load of drink in there, so we took that as well. Right, I don't know what we did in the place. We wrecked the whole place anyway, and then we went home, got drunk on celebrated with all their booze, and then a couple of days later we went to this second-hand place and sold all their office equipment. I said to the bloke, he said, "Oh, where'd you get this from?" I said, "Oh, my dad's business has closed down, and this is all this stuff." And they just believed you. They'd give you the money in those days. So we used to do that. And we went back. The other thing with another lot of people, when we raided that place in Cambridgeshire, where I jumped on the bloke's glasses, like, obviously we'd wrecked all the office equipment, but we in our group, which was like, these were a different group of people now I was with, we were short of money for the car and everything. So we did another raid on that same place, on the guy that bred the sheep and the pigs. And this time we just took all the office equipment. We took it, he replaced it all with new stuff. We took it all. And once again, I went back to the same shop, and he said, "Oh, what's happened? Is your dad?" He said, "Oh, my dad, I found some more stuff my dad's like from his business, like, so I got more money for our group." And then it was another time, because I was doing stuff all the time now. There was a place out in Essex where there was three of us that went to do this raid. This was a place that I think they bred guinea pigs and rats and mice. Basically I was the driver. The idea was I'd drop a couple of people off. They'd go and do the raid on the place, and then I'd pick them up. there was like a long drive leading up to this place, you see. So I said, oh, at a certain time, I'll kind of meet you at the bottom of the drive and everything. And anyway, I got there at the time and they weren't there. I thought, where are they? And the next bit, this police car pulled up. Oh no, what's happening? And I got out of the police car. He said, what are you doing around here? At this time of night. And I said, well, I'm lost actually, because it was near the A12 or something. And I said, well, I turned off the A12 and I've lost my bearings. I don't know where I am. I need to get to so I made up a place. I need to get to so and so, and all that. And he said, only like we've got this place here under like special surveillance. And I said, oh, why is that? He said, it's one of these animal experiment places to do with animal. And I pleaded ignorance, so I didn't know where I am. He said, yes. He said, it's a group called Friends of the Earth. He said, are threatened to destroy these animal experiment places. What, Friends of the Earth? What are you talking about, Friends of the Earth? He said, you're not a member of the Friends of the Earth, are you? I said, no, I've never heard of Friends of the Earth,
Too militant for me, mate.
I thought you got that a bit wrong, mate, but anyway, I'm not going to say anything. And anyway, so he let me go, but I thought, oh, blimey, and I I saw him drive off. I thought I need to go back there to, where are the people that I'm meant to be picking up? So I waited to go, went back. When he come back again, and he said, right, I'm suspicious of you now, you've come back. And of course, he checked my details. It came out of being in prison. I got arrested to a police station in Southend and held in the police station. And they come in, they said, oh, you're in serious trouble. We found some kind of explosive substance in your back garden where you live. And I thought, what are you talking about? But what it was, it was a great big drum of oil. We had a big drum of oil that we bought for our cars, and we had it in the back garden. And they, for some reason, they were suspicious of this bloody oil. I thought some explosive thing, but thankfully they tested it, and it turned out to be oil. And
It didn't have Friends of the Earth written on it, did it?
It had Friends of the Earth. It had Friends of the Earth, like, yeah. So anyway,
is that one finished, or are you, or not? Because we want to move on to Declan while we've still got.
No. Do Declan now, because we're halfway through.
Okay, right.
And
well,
if we've got people to break from me.
If your line drops, Declan, I think I've worked out. I can get you on the phone on speaker, and then you'll be able to speak into my mic.
Yeah,
you'll still be. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. But let's hope it doesn't happen. Yeah. So Dec, you've got over 400 other animals, and we've put together a bit of a kind of slideshow and a film at the end to kind of highlight some of them. So we're going to go through some of them, and you're gonna kind of just give us a brief kind of a couple of stories about the ones that are going to come up on the screen. So I think the first one is this chap here.
Yeah, this is Toby. He was found in Dublin about a month ago, and he had a broken wing. And this is.
Sorry. Let me go back.
Yeah,
it's supposed to have. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, a small little young pigeon, but you can see the damage on his wing. I don't know what happened, but he's on the mend now anyway, with a lot of care and attention. But
for some reason, it's not letting me pause it. For some reason, I don't know why.
Technical like myself, right, with all the trouble.
Yeah, no, it worked before. I was doing it before. Oh, yes. Okay. Let's see. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah, but his wing was fierce, badly damaged. He's only a tiny little pigeon, I'd say, about a month old or so. So I had him at the vet, and the vet said he was too young to operate on his wing. So he said that. Just keep treating him with medicine and wash his wound all the time. And he said that when we brought him back, the next time he says that a piece of his wing will fall off naturally, he said. So one day when I was washing him a week or two after that, a piece of his wing just fell off, and but he didn't bleed. He just a red at the wound. So ever since then he's getting better and better, and he's fine now. Apart from like he won't be able to fly.
Yeah, the vet was worried that once the wing fell off, that there would be a lot of bleeding, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, could happen, Roger. Yeah, but he's lucky.
So he's your last resident, is that right?
Well, we got a new one. Yes, we got a little baby rabbit yesterday. Tiny rabbit, I'd say, but just over 2 weeks old. So we're hand feeding him as well now. So with the little teats and special formula, So he's the latest resident, the little rabbit.
A free living.
Yeah, wild rabbit, Roger. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, he's a beautiful little fella. So.
Yeah. So you do a lot of rehab as well, don't you? It's not just a question of.
Yeah, we do, Roger. Yeah, seagulls and pigeons and any animal really that we find. And actually, you, Roger, you're great to collect the animals in Dublin or other places. When I ring you, you're fantastic to go and go to people's, wherever they tell you to go.
I see your name on the phone and I go, oh no.
I remember one day last summer, yourself and Jennifer were in the Phoenix Park or something in Jay, and I think it might have been the bank holiday, I think it was. But I rang you about a seagull in the city centre in Dublin, and fair play to you, left and went in and got the seagull, and I met you halfway in Ashburton, but you're always doing that, Roger. You're brilliant to be helping some of the seagulls can be rehabilitated and then released, and some can't. Because I was there when you released 2, and then I think you released 1 recently. Is that right? Yeah, we released 1 here at the sanctuary there just a couple of weeks ago, and just like he flew back over us twice and chatted to say goodbye up in the air, up in the sky, So there was 4 of us there witnessing coming back to say hello to us. And the same thing happened when you were with me, Roger, releasing.
Yeah, they flew back over and came over there. Yeah.
And then they landed fairly close to us. Remember in the sea.
That's it. Yeah, and then they kind of said goodbye and then they fecked off.
That's right.
But I mean that story is really interesting because Donald Watson's wife, Dorothy Watson, they talked about when they had a conservatory, one of the first conservatories, and a bird flew into the window because they weren't used to seeing big buildings just made up mostly of glass, and so they thought he was going to die, so they tried to make him comfortable. But his eye was out and all this kind of stuff. And so they left him overnight. And in the morning, he was fine again. And his eye had popped back in and everything else. So they released him again. And then Dorothy Watson said that she was pegging out washing. And she saw this bird come back and kind of, fly around her for a couple of times before going off. So it's really interesting, their abilities in that sense.
It is, yeah. Like one time, Sharon, my partner Sharon, found a baby magpie on the lane here. He was only a couple of weeks old, so that was about July or something. And we had them all winter, and we released them then the following May. But the parents used to come outside the bedroom window. We had them in the house to keep them warm. They used to be outside on the hedge looking in at him. But when we released them then the next May, he flew out onto an ash tree here beside this at the front door, near the front door. And a heap of crows came all around him, everywhere around him. So the next thing, all the magpies, his parents came, and his aunts and uncles and all his family came, and when it came between him and the crows just to protect them, but they all flew off then. But the next day he came back to the gate here at the entrance to the sanctuary, and he sat in the gate, and I said to him, chance going over and see what he stayed to rub him. And he went over and let me rub him for the last time, say goodbye,
Yeah, just a bit of translation there. When Irish people say rub them, it means stroking.
Stroke them, yeah. But he let me stroke him the last time. It was brilliant, you know what I mean? But he hung around the place here for years after, because he had a little tweak.
So we're going to move on a bit quicker now. But so Arthur, what's the story with Arthur?
This is Arthur. Yeah, Arthur actually came to the sanctuary himself. He was on the road below us, which is a busy road, and he actually came up our lane, and the police came up after him then, and he's obstructing the traffic, and then they asked us would we let him in. So we just opened the gate, and in he came, and he's here ever since. We have him 12 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a big boy. He's a wild boar, like, and there's no wild boars in the wild in Ireland Stars. I know, and no one ever came to look for him or anything, so.
Yeah, a bit of mystery where he came from then.
Yeah, it is, Roger. Yeah. So, and these are 4 little ducks, they're just recuperating. They were very sick. Someone brought them to us, and we just, helped them back into good health and that. So they're here at the sanctuary, and they're having a great time. In the winter time, they'll muck the place up to terror with the guzzling in the ground. They're always picking at the muck, like, These are some of the goats. There's Alba, Karina, Will, and Ivy there, and so they're wonderful poor creatures altogether, and they really stare at you in the face and with great passion. This is Bella and Charlotte. Again, they were 2 sick little pigs that someone gave us to try and nourish back to life. So they're great now. They're big giant monsters now at the moment.
Yeah, we've got a picture of one of them as a big giant monster.
Yeah, they're a pair of kind. 3 geese. There was actually an English fella down the country, and he asked us would we take these geese and a few ducks as well, because his father was getting old. He used to fly over and back to Ireland to work in Ireland and go back to his family in England. His father had the house here, and he was getting too old to look after all these, so that's where they came from. But they're wonderful characters, the geese.
So this is what your donations are going for, folks.
Yeah, and this is Bertie. He's a wonderful chap. Like that's him. At the one day, I was just resting in the garden on the sunbed, and he came over and just put his head resting on the end of the sunbed. The face had been that, but a couple down the country were just walking down the road one day, and they seen a farmer had him tied to a post in a farmyard. So they asked him would he give them Bertie to them. So he did give them to him, and they had him for about a year, but he was getting so big then they couldn't manage him. They had small young kids and that, and they were afraid when he got too big that But that's where he came. But he's a wonderful.
He's a pot-bellied pig. Now this one is one of my favourites. I love this. Yeah,
all the different chickens right in a row, and there's some cockerels mixed in the middle. That fella, that the black and white ones are cockerels. And they're all little different size ones, bantams and Old English fowl is the name of some of the breeds of them, But it's gas at night that the way when the goats start going to sleep, the little chirps out of them as they're getting lower and lower as they all fall asleep,
So that sounds like me.
Yeah.
So you got over 40 cats, is that right? Yeah.
I have, Roger. Yeah. It's a job to mind them all. That's Rory there in the picture. Like that, they all come. Most of them come from different places, and some of them wander into us from neighbours, and I don't know where. Some people must drop them off somewhere close too, because the amount of them that appear to us is unreal,
And you've got a habit of naming them after very important people. For example, you've got one called Mandela, and you got one called Roger, I believe. So there you go.
That's right. Yeah. Ronnie would remember Mandela when he was here. He was sitting in the garden. Mandela was only a little kitten at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, if people go to YouTube, there's a film. It says Ronnie and Louise go to Back into Daylight, and there's a picture of that there. Let's move on. There we go.
Yeah, that's some of the hens. Like they're hens that were in the battery cages, the 2 brown ones, and the white one was found that creamy one was found down the country by a woman. She was driving down a country lane, and she seen this dog with that hen in her mouth. Lucky, she called her Lucky, because she was lucky. She took her out of the dog's mouth, and she survived anyway. And that's where she came. But the poor hens out of the cages, you know, that we all have different sicknesses and stuff. So
well, that's where the name comes from, back into daylight, right? So
yeah, true.
So
Roger,
this is one of the monsters. I'm not sure. I can never tell them apart now. So this is
no,
Bella.
That's Bella.
Bella,
Yeah.
Bella with Bertie. Yeah.
With Arthur, Roger, Arthur.
Oh, that Arthur. Okay, I
Yeah,
got all
yeah,
that completely wrong then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Ignore me, folks. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, they like to have a little chat every time they're out and about. And this is Alba one when he was a baby, beautiful goat, you know, or she rather, you know. But they're fantastic, lively little critters when they're small. And this is Fred, one of the cockerels. Someone brought him to us too. He was cockadoodling too much in a housing estate in one of the towns around here, and they had to give him. They said they loved the poor fella, but the neighbours were complaining so much that they had to give him to us. You know.
Oh, you can't be cockadoodling in the town, as Ronnie would probably know when he's drunk. So there you go. But, so this is the last of the still pictures, and this is Bertie again.
Yeah, Bertie is
making a beeline for the camera there.
Yeah, he's a shocking chatty fella, as you know yourself, Roger. Everyone that comes to the sanctuary loves poor Bertie, you know, and he lets everyone rub him on that. So you know.
Yeah. He seems to be very affectionate towards my leg half the time, though.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's an amorous boy, as I would say as well. You know.
Indeed. Right. So the film we're going to show you, folks, it's only 2 minutes, so bear with us. I'm going to go full screen for this one, okay? And you should get sound too. I went full screen because I'm in it, so that's important. You know what I mean? There's you with short hair there, Declan. Pre-COVID.
Bring back the barbers.
Yeah, so there we are.
Yeah, a lot of creepers there, Roger.
Yeah, a wonderful place. And don't forget, please make a donation. Different ways of doing it. I think on the bottom of the screen in a minute, we'll see the website of the sanctuary that you can go to. And there's different ways you can either make a donation, you can sponsor an animal, adopt an animal. If you're on a a mobile phone or a tablet. I think the website's a bit different, and you have to click on menu first before you see the options. But please give something to the sanctuary. It's very well deserving cause, as you've just seen.
Thanks, Ronnie. Good man.
Somebody asked, I think it's Deb asked earlier, what time in history am I talking about? It'll be about 1976, 77. This time is it's kind of late 70s.
I thought it was the Ice Age, Ronnie, that you were talking about.
Well, just afterwards. Yeah, not too long after that. That's it. Yeah, it's the time of the Crimea and all that. So I suppose I better carry on with these kind of supposedly funny stories.
Yeah, that's a hard.
Anyway, we better talk about. I haven't talked about being in prison yet, so it didn't take very long for me to be put back in prison. What happened was I thought I was being clever. I'd moved house, and I didn't think the police. I didn't think the police knew where I was living. So I knew they were after me. I thought, they'd never find me. But of course, what I kind of forgot was I was still signing on the dole. I still had to sign on. So I went to sign on for the dole one day. And as I walked in the dole office, I noticed there's a couple of really scruffy blokes sat at the back. Really, really scruffy, dirty old clothes and everything like really. I thought, they'd probably, a couple of rough sleeping guys, at the back. And I went up and, signed on. And there's a young lad behind the counter that worked at the dole office. And I noticed him nod. And I thought, he's obviously seen a friend of his. He's nodded to a friend. But he wasn't. He was nodding to these two scruffy blokes. And when I went to go out, they jumped up and said, "Mr. Lee, you're under arrest. We're police officers," because they were undercover police, dressed all scruffy, so I wouldn't suspect anything. And he was obviously nodding to them. That's him. He's the bloke grasped me up, didn't he, to these police. And anyway, I got taken to the police station. And this was down in Kent. I got taken. It was to do with the raid that had happened down there. But I think I got let out again from that one. They searched my flat. They found some stuff that had come from that raid in my flat, and I think I eventually got charged with receiving stolen property. I didn't get charged. They couldn't prove I'd done the raid. But then I eventually got arrested for a raid on a place down in Surrey. It was a place that bred mice for experiments, and we took some of the mice away, and I'd kind of moved again, and I thought once again, the police don't know where I live. But someone had grasped me up. Someone had grasped up to the police where I was living, and they came round the next day and unfortunately got all these mice back that had been rescued. We did a lot of damage to the place as well, and I got arrested for that. And eventually, I ended up getting 12 months in prison on that sentence. And I spent that in a variety of prisons. I spent some time of that down at Canterbury Prison down in Kent. And on the previous prison sentence, I'd gone on hunger strike to get a vegan diet. So they kind of knew, we need to give this guy a vegan diet. Otherwise, he'll go on hunger strike. But I remember at Canterbury, I was there in Canterbury for 6 weeks. Every single day, I got the same dinner. It was the same dinner every day. It was like they made this burger out of like TVP, textured vegetable protein. They made this burger, and it was quite nice. But like I had this same thing. like every day. And I said to them, "Why do I keep getting the same meal?" And they said, "Oh, we haven't got a lot of money to spend on you vegans." Kind of, it's either that or beans. So I thought, well, I'll put up with the burger. But then I got moved to Wandsworth Prison in London, and that was like a kind of horrible prison. Really kind of a sort of hard line, very strict prison. and there was a horrible bloke there. There's like, you get like with the prison officers, you get one that's in charge of all the prison officers, the chief officer, and like everyone calls him the chief, and he's the one that's kind of gives out all the orders. And the one there, this one there was like, he was like really, really horrible. Like everyone hated him. And then one day we were, I think we were, quite a few of us were out and about. I think it might have been the dinner time. We were going to collect our dinner or something like that. And we saw this guy, the chief, he come walking along. And he was a great big bloke, you know, like hugely overweight. And he fell over, he slipped over and he fell on his back. And he couldn't get up. And he was like, he was trying to get up. He was all kicking his legs and arms, couldn't get up. And he was saying, somebody help me, somebody help get me up. And we were just stood round him laughing. We all stood laughing at him. Nobody helped him, you know. And in the end, like other prison officers came and they're saying, "Why didn't you help the chief? You should." And we said, "Why should we help him? You know, let him lie there." Like, so it was a little bit of entertainment that we had there. And then I got moved to a prison called Stanford Hill, and it was on the Isle of Sheppey in Kent. And this was like a semi-open prison. It was like there was a big fence around the outside. There was quite a lot of freedom of movement in there. And I got a job on the gardens, and I was forever rescuing pigeons, because what they did was they used to stretch this very thin cotton round the plants to stop birds, you know, eating the plants and that. But like pigeons would get caught and they'd get their feet. Declan probably knows about this very well. And they get all the cotton. I was sort of rescuing pigeons and having to kind of take this stuff off their feet and stuff. And then I used to go around secretly and destroy all the cotton, the kind of cotton thread. I used to go around destroying it all. But there was a Scottish guy there who was a homeless guy, and like he was called Jock. In prison. If someone's Scottish, they always get called Jock.
Yeah, they all get called Jock.
They all get called Jock, yeah. And if they're Irish, they get called Paddy. That's it. But I just don't know. I wonder what English people get called in prison.
Oh, all kinds of swear words. But I mean,
horrible bastard, probably.
Well, people got called taffies, didn't they? And then you got
people. Yeah, you get them all. They got all the same name, yeah. And this guy, it was called Jock. Like, and what happened was, like a lot of homeless people, he deliberately commit a crime to get put in prison over the winter, and he'd done something, you know, when coming up to winter. Either he threw a brick through a window, or he did something to get put in prison. And he was hoping to get like about 6 months, because out of 6 months, in those days, you did 4 months of your sentence. So say he'd done it about December, then he'd be out. It'd be getting warmer weather a little bit when he got. But he didn't get the 6 months. We only give him 3 months. You see, so he was due to be let out. It was like really cold. It was like February time. He says, "Oh, I'm going to be let out. Oh, I don't want to be let out of prison. I don't want to be let out of prison. It's going to be freezing cold." So what he did, he devised a cunning plan. He thought it was a cunning plan. He says, I've got a plan. Because basically, if you get a 3 month sentence, you do the 2 months, but they can give you the extra month. If you misbehave in prison, they can give you the extra month, so you end up with 3 months, you see. So what he did, he made an appointment to see the governor, and he went in to see the governor. The governor says, "What is it you want to say to me?" And he said, "Well, I've come in here to tell you that you're a fucking bastard, fucking arsehole, you know." And all the swear, every single swear you think of, he said to the governor, you see. And the governor, unfortunately, the governor said, "I know what your game is," he said. "You want me to give you extra prison time," he said, "but I'm not going to, you see." So unfortunately, it didn't work. His cunning plan didn't work. He was hoping that he'd get extra time to abuse the governor. And they just locked him up in like the punishment block for a few days and let him out, unfortunately. But he probably went out and just put another brick through a window, got put back in, you know. And it's awful. There's lots of people, as Roger knows as well, a lot of homeless people do that all the time. Especially around Christmas time. Christmas.
Difficult time for some people.
Yeah, it's very sad. And the other thing that happened there was on the gardens. They had a tradition on the gardens. in the prison that if you were due to be let out, they throw you in the pond. They had these ponds, you see, and like if you were due to be there, because you'd work until like the day before you were due to be released, and on the day before, like they throw people in the pond. I thought, oh shit, I don't really want to be thrown in the pond. So I kept really quiet. They're going, oh, when you being let out then, Ronnie? I said, oh, a few weeks time, kind of thing, I didn't tell. But one of them found out, and we were all sat round, and he says, oh, everyone, he says, I need your attention. I've got something to say about Ronnie. He says, I found out Ronnie's due to be released tomorrow. And they all jumped up. And what I did was I ran and I jumped in the pond. You see, because I thought, well, I'd rather jump in, at least it's under my control. I ran in the pond, and just sat in the pond. So I thought I'd sooner rather run in the pond than have them throw me in. So that's what I did. And then
when you came out, did they throw you back in again?
Well, no, thankfully not. But of course, they might have done, mightn't they? I didn't think of that. I think I just stayed in there. They all stood round the pond laughing, and I think I just sat there till they went away.
It's like being at school, isn't it? It's like being
it was. It's crazy. It's a crazy place. So I got. I did 8 months of that sentence, and I got released from that, and then it was a few more years until my third sentence. But there's going to be another one of these Jailhouse Vegans programs, as everyone's I'm sure they delighted to know that. More of me.
We're up to the hour mark, Ronnie. Do you want to go on for a little while?
No, I think I've timed that perfectly, haven't I? That's a perfect,
right, very good, yeah.
Perfect time to stop. That I've been let out of jail, and then
thrown in the pond.
Thrown in the pond. I'm all wet, soaking wet, let out of jail. I think it's probably a good time to stop and to say a couple of things to say to people. First of all, we're going to be doing another one of these for another sanctuary. We're yet to exactly decide which one it is. We've got some ideas. So that's going to be on in a few more weeks. So look out for that one. And the other thing is Roger and I are appearing in another kind of what's bound to be a comedy show on Saturday. Is it what time is it Saturday? 6 o'clock, is it? Saturday there. 6 o'clock on Saturday. It's called Last of the Vegan Summer Wine. And it's all about four kind of vegans that are somewhat advanced in age, shall we say, to be polite, including myself. It's, reminiscing about the good old days and generally, trying to entertain people. And that's also to raise money for a sanctuary. That's to raise money for a place called Pigs in the Wood. So, and it's on Grumpy Vegan Grandad. It's on his YouTube channel, isn't it, Roger?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah, on Saturday. So if anyone wants to come along and tune into that, there's facilities on there for when you do to donate to the sanctuary. So if you're free 6 o'clock Saturday evening, then come along and
This one here. What about the man apologising to you for doing something to another animal because he thought you could organise the lads to kill him? But that's the third one, isn't it?
Now my next prison sentence, because on my third prison sentence, I was in prison for 6 years and 8 months. There was obviously that last one I was only in for 8 months, so 6 years and 8 months. There's quite a lot of humorous things happening, and that one. People want to hear more about the man who apologised to me. Then tune into the next program, because that was something that happened on my third prison sentence.
Where I had the pleasure of sharing a cell with you, Ronnie, didn't I?
Roger shared a cell with me.
Pleasure.
He's never been the same since. That's why I'm bald. I had full hair before I shared a cell with Roger. But I'm flowing locks.
I was bald.
He was bald. He grew hair. I had perfect eyesight, didn't I, Roger? I was a great big bloke. And a few weeks in the cell with Roger, and look at me, little state of me now. But it was quite entertaining. Roger kept wanting to escape all the time. he wanted me to organise a helicopter to come.
Well, I'd just seen The Great Escape on the telly. I thought it was our duty.
Our duty to escape and carry on the battle. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to escape, young man. Yeah.
We couldn't tunnel out because we were on the third floor, weren't we? You couldn't really tunnel out. Could have tried, gone down into the cell below, I suppose, and carried on. But yeah, it was entertaining. I mean, people think prison's a miserable place. Well, it is in some ways, but there's still humour to be had there, isn't there?
There's an understatement. It's
not totally pleasant there. You know, there's a prison.
Do you remember that bendy guy who used to be? He had to be exercised on his own because he was he killed loads of people and everything.
Yeah, he killed loads of people. He did Tai Chi.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he killed them doing Tai Chi or what, but he used to do Tai Chi, probably, you know. But we used to watch him out the window. They used to let him out like really early in the morning, and he'd be in the exercise yard all doing all these weird... He was really quite old, wasn't he? He was 70s, an old bloke. I was worried. I thought
very good though, wasn't he? Because he could put.
It was all. I thought if I did that, I'd never be able to get up again. Like it was right, really.
He could tie himself in a knot and unknot himself again.
He could have tied himself, made a rope out of himself and gone over the wall, couldn't he? Really? But yeah, so that's right. That was in Hull. That's where we were in Hull. But strange enough, the first prison I was in, which was Oxford, is now a hotel. They turned it into a hotel, but they've kept a lot of it still looks like a prison, and the doors are still like the prison. So you know, like people pay a load of money to go to spend a weekend in prison.
That's like Alcatraz, isn't it?
Yeah, still the same. And so somebody said, I spent a weekend in prison. Well, no, you haven't. You've been in a luxury hotel in Oxford that's just got the prison doors on it, you know. But I suppose it's like, you know, it's a selling point for the place, I think. I mean, certainly I looked on the website and the food there and really very much like the food we used to have, you know. I think you can get vegan food, so I don't know. Maybe one day I'll go back there for old time's sake.
We're getting a hint here that we should be gone. So
Terry's had enough. He's gone to lie down.
So what do you think? Is it going to be about 3-4 weeks? Is it this one or
about 3 or 4 weeks' time? Yeah, we'll have to sort out, you know, arrange for it, and then how many more? We might need another 2. I think there's quite a lot of stuff coming up on because it was such a long sentence.
Oh yeah, well,
and then we got.
I can tell a few stories next time.
Roger's tell some stories.
So anyway, folks, we're a bit over time. So thanks very much for tuning in, and thanks for everybody who's donated, and keep them going. We got 1,000 donations last time, and we want to beat that. At least double it, don't we, Declan?
We really do. Yeah,
thanks, Ronnie and Roger.
It's a really good cause, and it's a way in a sense because this is something we've been doing at home as well. Because of course, you know, activism's very limited at the moment. We can't get out there on the streets like we were to help the animals. One way we can is by donating to sanctuaries, and we've been doing quite a lot. You know, money that we've saved because we've not been able to go anywhere. We've kind of donated quite a lot of it to sanctuaries at home. And the only thing you can do, I mean, please support Back Into Daylight, but also consider your local sanctuaries. You know, near where everyone lives, there are sanctuaries that are in need. So, you know, maybe consider giving one of your local sanctuaries a few bob as well.
Yeah, we ought to have a competition for the best name of a sanctuary, because I think Back Into Daylight is a brilliant name.
Oh,
there's a sheep sanctuary down in Kent called Sheep Ahoy.
Oh God, yeah.
Sheep Ahoy.
There
was that Sheep Ahoy.
I don't get that. Explain.
Sheep Ahoy.
Sheep Ahoy.
Well, Ship Ahoy. You know, like Ship Ahoy, because I think it's near the coast. Sheep Ahoy. It's called Sheep Ahoy. And Barland's a good name. So that was the one we did last time. So yeah, Back Into Daylight is very good name. It kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thanks very much, Roger and Ronnie, for all the effort just put into the show and shared and everything. And thanks to everyone who donated.
Very well. And, well, thank you for what you're doing, Declan. It's absolutely because not only do you do the rescue, you also do outreach as well, which is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, well, it's very important to keep doing the outreach when we get the chance again, because the only way to change the world is to get people to go vegan. So it's very important to do that. So everyone that's doing it, try and get back to it as soon as we can. So maybe sometime this year we might get back to it again. So it'll be brilliant.
Yep. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, there's Grumpy in the chat. So we've
Grumpy.
we've
mentioned.
Yeah, so Danny, we mentioned the show on Saturday. So so we done the advert.
Done the ad for it. Hopefully that'll be another good laugh, won't it?
Yeah.
Right, folks.
Okay.
Bye for now, and we'll see you again. And keep donating, folks.
Keep donating.
Yeah,
Take care, everyone.
I'm getting good at this telecom thing, aren't I? Keep donating, folks. Keep